After I made a video on Hayao Miyazaki that got way too many views, there was one unturned stone, a project I didn't talk about. The Miyazaki show that fell to the wayside. A forgotten gem? Yeah, sure, let's go with that. That sounds like a good title. Meidentai Holmes, or Sherlock Hound for short. Yeah, it's a show about a detective dog, solving mysteries, and Miyazaki's last ever TV show. So how did we get here? It's 1979, Miyazaki releases his first feature, Castle of Cagliostro, with telecon animation. It wasn't a smash at the box office, but it got people talking. From then on, he was working at TA's animation studio, Tokyo Movie Shinsha, having a hand in a couple episodes of Lupin as he trained young animators, as well as looking for his own new film projects. I made a video about one of those films over here, watch it. Doing interviews and starting his own fantasy epic. Suddenly, TMS is approached with a deal, a collaboration between them and an Italian company. Think the BBC, but for Italy. Miyazaki then went to Italy to negotiate the deal before a legal battle ensued with the estate of Conan Doyle, crushing the production to a standstill. Hayao got out of there, leaving TMS to bet it all on the line, and the rest is history. After that legal battle, a new team made about 20 episodes. They weren't in line with Miyazaki's vision. Not terrible, but they were missing something. I think they call it animation. I mean, I'm kidding, but kind of not really. Let's start with the intro. In Miyazaki's version, it's a representation of the show. Opposed to the usual exclusive animations you'd see, every impressive cut in the OP is consistent with the eye candy seen in the show. Not a drop of quality in any of those 22 minutes. We have the character acting, from the minute details to the most bombastic reactions that are larger than life. They come alive. There's certainly no stills, no lip flapping. It's all fresh, baby. All fresh. Miyazaki's team uses the frame count for all they have, squeezing every movement they can get out of this picture. It's not just that the anime is flashy, but the boarding and directing blows the competition away. There's a real sense of old school swashbuckling here, like the works of a classic serial, of Charlie Chaplin and Jules Verne. You could even bring up Hayao's earlier work when it comes to the 70s. And I'm a sucker for that Miyazaki anthropomorphic funhouse outings. Directing Lupin with TMS might as well have been the proof of concept to the potential we see here. There's a sense of daringness sprinkled throughout, without an ounce of cynicism. It's the kind of cartoon where someone gets shot, they don't drop to the floor, they say ouch. This is a fun time for everyone. Where every other day the amount of deadly, defying stunts that Sherlock survives triples. Miyazaki is bringing his best team forward. Not only are these people from Cagliostro, but some are going back as far as his years at Toei, like his mentor, Otsuka, who worked on the chase sequence from episode 5, the Blue Carbuncle, and he brings this wild, destructive energy to the vehicle's movements. The grunts spade coal at max speeds. Otsuka, he pulls from bold character acting. It's such a lively experience to watch. Once more, not enough could be said for the inventiveness of these set pieces. All 6 episodes find new ways to impress and mix it up, with a heavy dose of tension to level out that ludicrousness, balanced on the other wing with a light-hearted attitude. It's funny. Miyazaki's outlook on comedy animation comes with a disdain for gags that are at the hands of character stupidity. Miyazaki fills his shows with moments where people give it their all and fail in earnestness, going from 0 to 100 so fast it takes you off guard in the way that you can only just laugh. Though he's not above showing one's character's arrogance bite them in the butt. There's no way anyone else could have made this show. The classic Miyazaki tropes are here in full force, and it's a beautiful sight. It's bravura, effort for effort's sake, all tying together as one of the finest animated pieces of the era. Miyazaki, he's flexing. He's just flexing all the way to the bank. Hayao's stapled, detailed, illustrated backgrounds are in full show, with lavished attention to detail. There's a hint, a little dab of steampunk. Not enough to be garish, we're not going that bad into the territory, but just enough to give it some character. The mechanical parts of this story, well beyond the original text, they don't feel out of place. They're grounded with a sense of realism that helps flesh out the world. The same can be said of the music. Kentaro Haneda, who had some clout at this time, working on a couple big projects, he brings something comfy to the OST. Even the small pieces of in-between music, they're just so rich, giving a little subtle instrumentation nod to the Victorian era, or if it's the location they're going to this week. It just makes me feel good, makes me feel safe. You know, you throw a little flute in there from time to time, just to keep it mellow, keep it nice. Score it with sparseness. A bit of brevity never did anyone any harm. However, when it's time to play, they go with it, with a strong use of brass and Baroque music. It's almost like watching Lupin the Third again. If you need to be character focused, we've got some motifs for that. In particular, for the villains, Moriarty gets a handful of them. He's a goofball, well, he's actually a wolf, but the Little Red Riding kind of wolf. He's a con man more than a mastermind. His music, while having a menacing tone, it has a bit of a jovial edge. There's something a bit mysterious about it too, as if we, the audience, are trying to figure out what crazy, nefarious deed he's up to this time. The Moriarty and Sherlock dynamic plays a bit like a Popeye cartoon, more than the original novel. As you may notice, Miyazaki likes to play it hard, fast and loose with his adaptations, and that's not something that came out of nowhere. It's something that he's been doing since his Toei days. His Sherlock Holmes is smoothed out, not dissimilar to Cagliostro's Lupin. This Fox version has his quirks, yes, but less cold, detached fringe of society, and more the strong, silent type. He's more charismatic, is what I'm saying. Someone like Watson is actually the most traditional character we have here. He's the sidekick, he still asks questions, and he's still occasionally a comic relief piece. Yet, if there's any place where change has been a massive improvement, look no further than Mrs. Hudson, the dark horse of Sherlock Hound. Their landlord is the true change to the source material. They take center stage in 2 episodes where she shows that she's more than meets the eye, not just a subservient caretaker, but someone with a distinct outlook who can weaponize her kindness and productivity in the most dangerous of situations. If not the person that saves the day in episode 10, she'll turn into a Miyazaki heroine at the blink of an eye. You won't even see it coming. You get to see beyond what we expect from Marie, into her past, where her life was before she settled down. It's engaging stuff, and I would have loved to see more with the rest of the cast. Moriarty does get a moment that shows him to be a bit more than just a mustache-twirling bad guy. But in the end of the day, Marie is the heart of the show when it counts. Any other time, it's still the best Saturday morning cartoon that never was. DuckTales more like Schmuck-Tales. Ooh, yeah, take that, Disney. Yeah, I didn't even watch the reboot. What are you going to do about it? So 2 of these episodes were touched up and showed alongside Miyazaki's landmark film, Nausicaa. They did recompose the soundtrack, which loses a lot of the charm. The replacements are in line with the cold dystopian synths of Nausicaa. It's not as good of a fit for Hound's style, if you get what I'm talking about. Maybe these TV serials were no longer fit for Miyazaki. After all, it was a changing landscape. Miyazaki felt he was just too old for this shit. Week to week, that's a harsh deadline. And it's no wonder he went towards films. At least the production would be within his iron grasp to dictate to those animators as he pleased. His contempt towards the industry and TV anime itself was showing. I simply can't discuss the business we are in without a bit of bitterness. Compared to the work of the 1950s that I will always hold as a gold standard, the animation that we are making in the 80s resembles that of the food served on a jumbo jet airliner. Oof. I mean, I can be a bitter man myself, but geez, Miyazaki, just take it easy. I get it, something, the decay of Japanese animation, but let's be civil. Daniel of the Ghibli blog once said that this was an end of an era for Miyazaki, and I agree. This is the most fine-tuned version of this style, the greatest hits before he moved on to those larger-than-life stories, among a couple of smaller personal tales. It's not to say these sensibilities didn't come back from time to time, but they were wrapped around these stories of environmentalism, humanity's greed, war, suffering, you name it, he did it. But these were simpler times. Even now, there's not much like these Sherlock Hound episodes. For 6 episodes, it's a lot of fun. But it would be hard for me to see how the series could progress without becoming stale. If Miyazaki was to continue, I assumed the show would also have to evolve. And in that case, I expected it would become something like Nadia, another show based off early Miyazaki ideas. Maybe the beauty of Sherlock Hound is that it doesn't live within the limits of a grand narrative. It can just be 20 minutes of a closed case, a fun little adventure, and that's okay. Sherlock Hound is available on YouTube through TMS. Oh, come on. I thought we were friends, TMS. I said nice things about your mediocre film. Well, sort of. Fine, all right. I heard it was Crunchyroll. I'll check out. Okay. Just what about a physical release? So I'm hearing in the UK there was a HMV release about 8 years ago. Oh, okay, it's sold out and never gonna be replanned ever. Great. I hear you Americans have it a lot better. Don't worry. Sherlock is our thing, guys. Come on, don't do us dirty here. Like this is our boy. You can't take him away from us. Throw a dog a bone here, okay? Just let us at least watch it on YouTube. There's also a Japanese Blu-ray floating around, so yeah, have fun with that. I'll catch you next year, guys. Have a good one. And if you like the content I make, consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, Katamari is out today, so check my video on that. I need more people to watch it. Special thanks to my patrons as of now, Cole Davies, Fernando Diaz, and of course, Bear Hinox, as well as everyone else that makes this a lot easier. So have a nice day, and the next time I'll see you is when I finally finish New Jabez. Have a good day.